It's the Snubbies.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Snubbies. My apologies for the brief break that we took here. I was hoping to get one in before the Oscars just to do my Oscar picks, but unfortunately some schedules didn't line up, so here we are. We're back again. We got Michael Morosco joining us again, so back-to-back episodes for Mikey. And this one's a brutal one. We're going to be talking about the 1994 Best Supporting Actor Oscar, and I know we're doing two supporting actor awards back-to-back again, but oh my God, wait until you hear this episode. I just got done recording the session with Mike, and this one takes a toll on me. And I think you guys are going to agree with everything that we say, hopefully, but this is the kind of episode that I really wanted to do when I started the podcast, because it's an emotional debate on this one, because there's just so many good nominees that either were nominated or weren't nominated, and just wait till you listen to it. It's absolutely insane, and we go back and forth. He changes my mind on some things, I change his mind on some things, and I'll tell you, if there were beers involved in this one, it would have gotten nasty quickly, but this is probably one of the better episodes that we've done, so hopefully you guys like it and enjoy it. We're also going to talk a couple things about the Oscars that were last weekend. Actually, by the time that this is out, the weekend before, so my apologies. If you didn't watch the Oscars, you didn't miss much, except for just a lot of uncomfortable stuff that went down. Chris Rock was the host, spent the entire time talking about the not Black Lives Matter, the Oscars So White. If you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. Just very uncomfortable. People in the audience laughing and clapping, probably because they felt they had to. They started off, laughing and clapping because he made some good points, but then it just didn't stop, and kind of distracted from the whole evening overall. I mean, it was, for lack of a better term, it was Leo's night. Everybody knew going into it that he was going to win for The Revenant, and there was no jokes about Leo. There was no jokes about the movies that were nominated. It was all the Oscars So White thing, and just really painful to sit through. I don't know. I want to hear what you guys think. Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter @the Snubbies. What did you guys think? I was live tweeting throughout the whole thing, and it started awkward, then it got dull, then it got unwatchable, and then once you start getting into Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Picture categories, then it at least became interesting. But, I mean, you had to sit through 3 hours of just painful broadcasting to get to that. I don't know how you fix that. Obviously, they need a host that's going to have, and I don't want to say mass appeal, because I like Chris Rock. I like the movies he does. I like his stand-up. I think the controversy just overshadowed everything about it. And the thing that no one really commented was that it was a bad year for women roles this year. The best actress category was a runaway from the start. Brie Larson winning for Room, and very deservedly so. She would have won that award over anybody else that was nominated for any other movie in a long time. But there was just no competition. I mean, Cate Blanchett for Carol. Carol was not a good movie. Just, I don't know. It was painful to sit through. I don't know. Oscars needs to step their game up, man. They really do, because that was bad. Yeah, again, I mean, it's leaving me speechless. Literally, I don't know what to say about the Oscars. It was bad. Alejandro Iñárritu won Best Director for The Revenant. That award could have gone a couple different ways, but he did make history, becoming only the second director to win back-to-back awards for Best Director. So, big night for him. Have some reservations about him as a director, just what he put his crew through to make that movie, unnecessary things. So, yay, he won his award for it and everything. Good for him. Hopefully he doesn't do anything like that again, because just talking with some of the people that have worked on that movie, it was not a good experience, and it was all avoidable stuff. And for me as a assistant director, it just I don't know if I would have stayed on board for a lot of that shoot after listening to some of the horror stories. So I don't know. We'll see. We're going to take a quick time out. Actually have a sponsor this week, so I want to give them some love. So I'm going to do a quick time out. We'll be right back. Michael Morosco talking about 1994 Best Supporting Actor Oscar. So we'll be right back. Hey guys, I want to talk to you about Two Nights In. It's a new travel company that specializes in getting you the best deals at the most exclusive, most luxurious places around the globe. I know what you're thinking. Evan, I'm just going to go to Orbitz or Travelocity. I'm going to do it all myself. Don't. Two Nights In knows the best places to stay and can hook you up. You know how everyone has that friend that somehow gets the best deals for themselves and their family, and you're like, man, I wish I could have stayed right next to the Taj Mahal too. Well, guess what? Two Nights In is that friend for you. Here's what you do. Go to twonightsin.com. That's TWO nightsin.com, and just browse their destination guide. Choose a location, sign up on their site, and you'll get immediate VIP access to the best of the best on 4 continents. My wife and I used them when we went to Chicago, when we went to Italy, to Mexico, and each time we arrived at our hotel, it's like they rolled out the red carpet just for us. That's what Two Nights In can do for you. Tell you what, just check them out on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Search at Two Nights In. That's TWO Nights In. And just browse some of the places that they can hook you up. You won't regret this. Come on, guys. Be that person that brags about the most amazing vacation ever. And do it with the help of Two Nights In. I guarantee you won't regret it. Two Nights In. TWO Nights In. Now back to the Snubbies. All right, guys, we are back here with Mr. Michael Morosco. Mike, how you doing?
Great. How's it going, Evan?
Oh, living the dream. Living the dream. Can't complain. I mean, I could, but no one's going to care, so.
No, especially not me.
No. Let's,
Snubbies.
I can really feel the love coming from your end, just 3,000 miles away, and I just feel the love,
Great.
There you go. Let's do a quick Oscar recap here, because this is our first episode since the Oscars, and not a good show by any stretch of the imagination. I don't necessarily. Go ahead.
No, and I think you were sort of anticipating that the 88th annual Academy Awards were going to be kind of boring because there were not too many exciting movies.
No, you know what? We've kind of fallen into this little pattern where the movies are predictable, like, oh, this is definitely Oscar bait. And honestly,
right.
The best thing about 2015 was Mad Max, and I know I keep harping on that movie, but it's like it was the best action movie that's come out in a long, long time, and it was just so well done that it kind of blew everything else out of the water. I mean, we can sit here and talk about how awesome The Revenant was, or Bridge of Spies, or something like that. But I mean, those movies are trying so hard to be Oscar worthy, and it kind of steals it from everything.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about Chris Rock as host for one thing. First off, did you watch the Oscars?
So the last couple of years, I've been doing sort of a Twitter follow along, and then the next day I'll go watch all the YouTube videos, just so I'm not like, pissed off at the results as they're happening live.
It is a very painful thing to sit through. I mean, I was live tweeting throughout the whole thing, and after a while, I was just like, I kind of gave up on it. I was like, I don't care about what's happening right now. And honestly, Chris Rock kind of started the evening. I mean, you knew he was going to say something about Oscars So White. You knew it was going to happen. It was going to be a disappointment if he didn't say anything. But I don't think anybody expected to happen what happened, which is 100% of the monologue was talking about racial stuff. And I don't know about you, but I want to hear jokes about the nominees. I want to hear jokes about the movies that are nominated.
Yeah.
And instead, it was like a 7-minute lecture by Angry Black Man, and I'm like, not to say I didn't want to see any of that. I just didn't want to see 100% of that. So I don't. Did
and
you?
There's a balance. I feel like you can do both, right? Like
Yeah.
there's probably a better way he could have done both. Got the important things that he was saying by including all like the racial discussion, and comedy, and just kind of pointing out how, yes, this is ridiculous, but it's kind of the life we've all chosen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you go back and listen to episode 2, which
You should.
it's
great.
well, look at for anyone who hasn't listened to it yet, it's available on YouTube right now. I had to take it off because I can only do 2 episodes at a time for right now, but I'm eventually going to put all these episodes on YouTube as a podcast. So listen to my conversation with Rob Thalusima, because he hits the nail right on the head. Regarding the whole controversy, it's not that we need X amount of black nominees each year. It's that there's no vehicle for these actors, the minority actors, to showcase what they can do. And that's the bigger issue, is that if I want to go see a movie about, a black character doing whatever, I have to search long and hard to really find one. Whereas if I go to the movies right now, 9 out of 9 movies in the Cineplex is going to be about, a white person. So,
Yeah.
Of course the nominees are going to reflect that. So, I mean, that being said, I felt like Chris Rock's speech and his monologue was more ridiculing people in the audience than it was, addressing the actual issue. And don't get me wrong, he did address the issue, but it felt like a lecture more than it was just, hey, like here, like when he started talking about black people being raped and murdered to the point where they don't care about cinematography. It's like, I get the joke, and yeah, it's a shocking joke, but at the same time, like that, something about that just rubbed me the wrong way, and I know it was supposed to, and it definitely did. But after that, he lost me, and I was like,
Yeah.
I was watching it live. I was like, I wish there was a fast forward button on live TV. So, I don't know. Did you go back and watch that whole monologue?
I did. I watched the monologue and some of the interstitials in between awards and things like that. It's tough because we're in a race that has representation,
Right.
and we're both the kind of people that don't see things kind of through colors. It's like you've worked with a lot of people from many different races and sexual orientations and
Mm-hmm.
things like that, and it's kind of like, oh wait, there are like ignorant people still in power and that still have the say as far as like what movies get made or what movies get nominated.
Right.
So sometimes it's really like they need a blunt thing in front of their face saying like, oh, like maybe I shouldn't be acting this way even if I'm not overtly racist, kind of thing.
Right. And honestly, going back to the conversation with Rob, it's also the call for having these kind of roles is not being heard, and it's not a very loud voice either. And that's what is that's kind of what's frustrating, is that, I mean, you can blame the executives of the movie of the studios for so long before you're like, well, they're in the money game. They're there to make money, and what movies are making money? Well, there's not a big outcry for these type of movies, and there should be. So
Yeah.
whose fault is it at that point? You can't blame the studios for trying to make money off of movies in a formula that they know works. I mean, I don't know. I guess to sum it up, there's no quick fix for it.
Yeah.
I appreciate what the Academy did by saying at least half of the Academy voters have to be of minority, nationality, race, anything like that.
Yeah.
But all that's going to do is even the voting field. It's not going to even the nominating field, if that makes sense. So,
and hopefully it'll get there, but definitely give episode 2 of the Snubbies another listen if you haven't already, because I think you and Rob really break it down, and it's interesting as his perspective as a black man.
Yeah, and honestly, I respect Rob's opinion so much, and it's funny because I thought he was going to come into the episode and have a very kind of like staunch. And I don't want to say this in a means like I thought it was going to like pigeonhole him, but when he started talking about just you can't blame studios for wanting to make money, but you can blame them for the content. I was like, that hits the nail on the head so hard. And it's like, it's not that, I mean, I know, did you see the bit where Chris Rock was going around interviewing black people outside the movies?
Oh, yeah.
That, I think perfectly, that was like a Jimmy Kimmel moment where like it perfectly showcased the wrong point of view. Whereas like Rob has the perfect point of view in the whole thing, but like interviewing the black people, and they're like, "Have you ever heard of what is Steven Spielberg?" And they were like, "I've heard of him." It's like, what? You've heard of him? So I mean, yes, it was done for laughs and everything like that, but I mean, that's I pity people that watch that and they're like, "Oh, black people don't know anything about movies." Like, no, they picked the like, the worst responders to showcase to like make a point, but I don't know. But anyway, Chris Rock, I don't know if they're going to ask him to come back anytime soon because all the people that are saying he did such a great job now, I feel like they're saying it just because they feel they have to. Because if they criticize him, then they're going to be like, they're going to face the backlash of, oh, you're racist for not liking what he said.
Yeah, it's a fine line to.
It is, and it's an awkward line to walk. I mean, I'm trying to get Rob back to do another episode, and I don't want to bring up race every time he comes in because it's such a crap thing to do.
Yeah.
Because he has such great opinions on just movies in general. Like take politics and social politics out of it. Rob's a movie lover like all of us, and I want him to talk about movies and not have to worry about making statements all the time too. So moving on from that, what were some of the big shockers that you heard that you felt the award ceremony kind of, I don't know, what caught you off guard?
Well, definitely the fact that Spotlight won Best Picture, when I don't think it won anything else it was nominated for, correct?
It won for screenplay.
Oh.
So I mean, that's the thing is, if it hadn't won anything else, I would have been like, that's a huge upset, but I'm big on story, so if it won screenplay, then it had a much better shot at winning Best Picture.
Yeah.
And I could tell watching the whole thing when there was like a 60-minute block where Mad Max was just cleaning up and
all the technical awards. And it was funny because it's the exact same thing that happened with Hugo when The Artist won Best Picture that year. Everybody liked Hugo, but they liked The Artist better. So they were like, well, we have to give Hugo a lot of other stuff to make up for the fact that it's not the best. So when Mad Max was winning editing and costumes and production design and yada, 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 I was like, well, this is just proving that it's not going to win Best Picture. And that's when my hopes for it kind of died. But I really, going into it, I had said The Revenant is the clear favorite, but if any one of those is going to upset it, it's going to be Spotlight. So I wasn't shocked to hear Spotlight, but when you have Leonardo DiCaprio and Alejandro Iñárritu winning their awards, it almost seemed like the foregone conclusion, and then Spotlight came out of nowhere. Right, and I know leading up to maybe the last the month or so beforehand, I started hearing a lot of people saying, "Oh, like don't sleep on Spotlight." Like I think whatever studio put that out, they were really making the big push to get the exposure, to get it out there, to get people talking about it.
Absolutely.
And it is an important story. I still have yet to see it.
It's a very important story. I compare it to All the President's Men because it's more about the journalism than the subject matter that the journalism is based on, if that makes sense.
Yes. No, that or Shattered Glass. Have you seen that?
Long ago. I can't remember much about it, though.
Yeah, so it's the same. It's like, hey, there's journalistic integrity and like what's right and what's wrong. It's like that you can do compelling pieces framed around, the bigger sort of more important story. Yeah.
And you know what? I feel like the way that they did Spotlight kind of takes the focus. I think if they had done the movie Spotlight as a narrative piece, not on the journalism aspect, but on the victims themselves, I think it would have been so heavy-handed, and I think there would have been so much.
There
would have been so much backlash from the church that it probably wouldn't have been as noticed. I think you take that story and you focused on the journalism aspect of it. You can tell the story and still get that kind of broad appeal. So, And it's funny because Mark Ruffalo, did you did you did you see the reading of the award for Best Supporting Actor?
No.
So we're sitting there, and I was there with my wife. It was me. My parents were there too, and we're just sitting there watching it. And they're going over the nominees, and I'm like, God, like this is a stacked category because everybody thought it was going to be Sylvester Stallone. Mm-hmm. And even I did. I was like, I mean, he won the Golden Globe. Everyone kept talking about it. And I was like, Sly Stallone is going to win his second Oscar for playing the same character, and it's going to be awesome. And then once they said Mark Ruffalo, I was like, God damn, he was really, really good in Spotlight. I happen to think he was better in Infinitely Polar Bear, but he didn't get nominated for Best Actor. He got nominated for Best Supporting for Spotlight. But as they were going, I was like, and Mark Rylance wasn't bad either. But like, I really was harping on Ruffalo. And then when they said who was it? Was it who won Supporting Actress the year before? Because she presented it. I can't remember. I'm sorry. She said Mark, and I immediately was like, yes, Ruffalo. And then she said Rylance, and I was like, what? Really? I mean, Mark Rylance stole Bridge of Spies. He absolutely did. But Ruffalo was better, and Sly Stallone was better. And it's funny because just before we started recording, I was reading an article about Mark Rylance. It just came out that he's this British actor that's in this pro-Palestine group of people that are calling for like the boycott of Israel and stuff. Yeah. And the article was like, if that had come out right before the Oscars, there's no chance in hell he would have won. But it's interesting because even taking the political stuff out of it, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to do snubby episodes about recent awards, but I think we're going to...
That could be one.
I think we're going to revisit this. If this show is still around in a few years, we're going to come back and revisit this because I don't think Rylance wins it. So, I don't know.
Well, it'll be great as these movies start coming on video, because that tends to be when I can catch up and see them. So maybe, Evan, in 10 years, I'll have seen all of these nominated movies. And
we'll go back in time.
And be better informed.
Was there, we'll wrap this opening segment up and get to the real snubbies in a second, but was there anything else that kind of caught you off guard?
The only thing that, it was more of a nomination thing, that the Inside Out won for Best Animated Feature Film. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised, and maybe I don't know, but The Good Dinosaur wasn't nominated as well. But I'm guessing it's Disney and Pixar can push for one and have a better shot. And Inside Out was a better movie.
Probably, yeah. I heard not good things about The Good Dinosaur.
So I saw that recently, and if on a technical level, some of the nature CG is unbelievably lifelike. Like the character, the dinosaur and the human characters are sort of cartoony.
Yeah.
But like the water and the leaves and just like all the backgrounds it's a beautifully shot movie.
But how's the story? How's the characters?
It's kind of basic. It's kind of formulaic. See, it's a lot of The Lion King.
Yeah. If you don't have good characters and a good story, you can kiss that award goodbye.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it should have been nominated for Best Effects or something. But, that was another one that shocked me was Ex Machina beating out Star Wars for Best Effects.
And you were I know you had said like Ex Machina is a fantastic movie.
It was in my top 5 for the year. And, when they were doing the nominees, I was like, there's no chance in hell Star Wars doesn't win this because...
Right, Star Wars is going to get one.
Yeah, it's got to win something. And then when they said Ex Machina, like my brain kind of blew up a little bit. I was like, what? And then I was like, you know what? The effects in Ex Machina was so subtle that it really enhanced the story. And for me, that's the mark of a good special effects is that if you have a movie that's all special effects and no story, like The Matrix Reloaded or The Matrix Revelations, then bad movie, really bad movie. If you have a solid story with effects that just enhance the story, then that becomes great. And for me, that's what Ex Machina was.
Awesome.
So anyways, check it out when it comes out. All right, last chance to talk about this year's Oscars before we move on.
I'm good.
All right. So, guys, we're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we are going to talk about... Mike, do you want to tell us what we're going to talk about?
We are going to be talking about the 1994 Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
Yes, we are. All right, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. Mike Morosco, 1994 Best Supporting Actor. Let's get to it. This was an award that I looked up on one of those like top 20 all-time Oscar snubs of all time. This one stands out because, first off, have you seen Ed Wood?
Yes.
So 1994 Best Supporting Actor Award goes to Martin Landau in Ed Wood. Are you, Mike, how familiar are you with 1994 in terms of movies?
It is a crazy heavy year.
It is arguably the greatest year of all time.
Everyone talks about, should Shawshank have won it? Should Pulp Fiction have won it? Forrest Gump, yeah, it's a good movie. Should Quiz Show have won? Like, it's stacked.
Well, listen, and I'm just looking at the list of Best Supporting that we have on our little spreadsheet here. These are the top movies of 1994. Ed Wood, Pulp Fiction, Bullets Over Broadway, Quiz Show, Forrest Gump, True Lies, The Professional, Blown Away, Shawshank, Interview with the Vampire, Clerks, Dumb and Dumber. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That is a stacked year if I've ever heard one.
Like if you were saying, hey, show me examples of movies from the 90s, you could just pull 1994 and say,
oh yeah,
platter.
Oh yeah, dude. And I think what was 1994 for us? Was that like in between 5th and 6th grade or so?
Somewhere in the beginning of puberty.
Yep. I think we were sprouting some hairs in very weird places at that point. But I think here's the thing: is we obviously weren't in a position to really appreciate the greatness that was that year. But even if we were, I don't think anybody realized how great of a year that was.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking back on it. I mean, just let me see if there's any others, because at some point we're going to do 1994 Best Picture overall. Clear and Present Danger, Speed, The Lion King, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
The fucking Lion King. Sorry, Disney, I just swore for you. Stargate, The Crow, Ace Ventura Pet Detective, D2, The Mighty Ducks. I mean, Hoop Dreams, one of the greatest documentaries of all time. Jesus Christ, man. There really should have been like 3 different award shows just for Oscars, because that year is just insane.
And there sort of was. I remember on the like on the special features for the Pulp Fiction DVD, they show, Quentin Tarantino at the Independent Spirit Awards, where it was just like raking in all these different awards, and it was like,
yep.
I think at the time they knew that they were just going to lose to Gump, because he's like, Forrest who? Like, yeah. Gump what?
Yeah.
So.
And, Tarantino, and I love Tarantino. I'll see anything that guy does. I don't think I could sit next to him in a theater, because he'd probably be talking the whole time, as I've heard he does. But, sorry. All right, so Martin Landau wins. Here are the other nominees just that year, okay? You have Sam Jackson for Pulp Fiction. You have Chaz Palminteri. How the hell do you... Chaz Palminteri, okay, for Bullets Over Broadway. Paul Schofield for Quiz Show, and Gary Sinise for Forrest Gump. Now, right away, I don't know who you take out of that category, because that is an amazing... Usually, when we look at this list, we're like, okay, this person's out, this person's out.
Yeah.
I mean, who do you do? Paul Schofield for Quiz Show? But that was such a great movie.
Can I be honest? He's the only one, and I've seen Quiz Show. I don't remember him in Quiz Show. Who was he? Will you give us a refresher?
He was, I mean, obviously he wasn't.
There you go.
He wasn't Ray Fiennes. He wasn't. I know what you're saying.
He's not Ray Fiennes.
Wasn't he the producer of the show?
I believe so. Yeah,
I think so. All right, so just because the others are so goddamn amazing. I mean, Bullets Over Broadway is probably my second or third favorite Woody Allen movie. But that being said, it's one of the best movies made, like comedies, in terms of like philosophy and just movies about entertainment. If any of the listeners haven't seen Bullets Over Broadway, do yourself a favor. My God, it's a movie about a stage writer who has writer's block, and and leans on like a mobster who has like this almost like savant like gift for entertainment. And Chaz Palminteri is that mobster, and I mean the whole philosophy of like is great art worth killing for? Like that's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah. And he's really good. He's really really good in that.
So
movie.
good, and you know he's unfortunately a character actor because every character he plays is the same thing at this point. But this is kind of where he made it the best. So then you got Sam Jackson for Pulp Fiction. I mean, when you think of Pulp Fiction, you think of Sam Jackson alongside John Travolta with those suits on, holding guns up. I mean, he is that movie.
He talks so much in that movie. It's like...
And it just rolls.
He chews it up and fucking owns. He's awesome.
Yeah. And then you have Gary Sinise and Forrest Gump. I mean, dude, Lieutenant fucking Dan. You can't... that movie doesn't exist without Gary Sinise. It really doesn't.
And his arc is so great because of all the like the horrible things that happened to him in his life,
mm-hmm.
and like he still remains friends with Forrest,
mm-hmm.
and you know his whole arc of like when he finally lets go, you know, and he's just like it's sunset and he's floating in the water, and he's just like, you know what, I'm gonna make my life better. And then you see him at the end when he comes back,
with the you got new legs, Lieutenant Dan.
Oh, and he's got his wife, and you're just like, yeah, Lieutenant Dan.
I know, and you know what, you're absolutely right because he is. I mean, I guess you could say that Jenny had the full arc too, but I mean, Lieutenant Dan was really... Jenny had the full circle, but Gary Sinise had like the full 180. You know what I mean? Where like Jenny went away, did some crazy shit, but always came back. Whereas Lieutenant Dan was the one that was the hard ass that turned into like the heart of gold. So
right, and he wanted to kill himself. I mean, I guess Jenny did. Now that I think about it.
So I mean, right away. Oh my God! I'm looking at the other people that didn't even get nominated, which I'm going to get into.
So, for those who haven't listened, we are talking about taking away Martin Landau's
and that's
Best
the crazy
Actor
part.
Academy Award.
And here, okay, so here's the worst part. So unlike a couple of awards that we've already done on the Snubbies, it sucks because you can look at the winner and be like, well, they shouldn't have even been nominated. Throw them out. I'm looking at that, and I have that same feeling like Martin Landau shouldn't have been nominated, but not because he didn't do a good job, didn't do an amazing job. It's because I'm looking at all these other names that I'm about to say, and you're going to be like, holy shit, how did they not get nominated? So just looking at the 5 nominees, it probably should have come down between Sam Jackson and Gary Sinise.
I will agree with that.
So I hate to say it because Martin Landau, Chaz Palminteri, and Paul Schofield all deserve their nominations. But okay, ready for the? All right, so here, let's go through the. I'm sorry, I'm getting worked up because 1994 just brings it out in me, man.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there in science class all over again, just talking about movies in 5th grade. So, all right, I'm just gonna throw some out. Did you add any names to the list, by the way, that I'm about to read off?
Oh, I sure did. We can go through and talk a little bit about each potential. So these are nominees that we wish to elevate to our nominees.
Yeah, like honestly, we're gonna have like a nomination list of like 15 people.
Yeah.
All right.
And these people will ultimately be competing against Sam Jackson and Gary Sinise for the Snubby.
If there is a March Madness bracket for 1994 Best Supporting Actor, Sam Jackson and Gary Sinise are already in the semifinals on opposite sides of the bracket. So
the 1 and the 2.
Yes.
I love it.
So these guys, all right, ready? Let me talk about True Lies. I would say True Lies is the next greatest. If Mad Max is the greatest action movie of like our lifetime, True Lies is the one that it has to be compared to. True Lies is amazing. It has the comedy, it has the action, and I watch that movie for many things. I watch it for classic Arnold lines. I watch it for good explosions. I watch it for
the dance scene.
I was just gonna say I watch it for Jamie Lee Curtis dancing in her underwear because God damn it, I'm a red-blooded American. I also watch it for Tom Arnold because that dude is fucking hilarious in that movie.
Great.
So much that he deserves a nomination for True Lies. And he
plays Arnold's like best friend / partner,
mm-hmm.
who, you know, the whole time he's had this charade going, He just thinks he's in like software sales, right? I think that's Arnold's job.
Yeah, like something with computers, something so bullshit.
Right, but really, he's like the van driver, the intel guy. Like, he plays this critical role in all of like Arnold's badass operations.
Oh, it's so good, and he's got the best lines. Like, women can't live with him, can't kill him. Like not to sound misogynistic, but he is that misogynistic character. But he's like such a he's the best coworker and he's the best friend. You know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah.
He's so fucking good. And to stay on the topic of True Lies, Bill Paxton, man.
Oh, what a scumbag. He's a scumbag, but he's so good.
Such a Weasley scumbaggy character. And I know he's only on screen for like 8 minutes out of the whole movie. But friggin' Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor for being on screen for less than 13 minutes for Silence of the Lambs. I think you could have thrown Bill Paxton a bone and given him Best Supporting for True Lies.
The whole scene when he's talking about what he wishes he could do to Jamie Lee Curtis, Arnold just sitting there, and all of a sudden he hallucinates, he just like murders him.
He just like
punches him in the face,
he just like backhands him with his fist and just like shoves his brain through his nose through his brain or some shit like that.
There's blood everywhere. And then it cuts back to like, that's probably the earliest time I can remember something like that happening in a movie. Like, oh no, it was just, and it's so funny and it's so good. And then like, finally, at the end, the
lipstick,
the plastic champagne glasses. It's brilliant. You cling them together.
Well, dude, just even the fact that like he pisses himself, he goes, "Would a real spy piss himself?" I'm like, "Oh my god, this guy's so good."
Yeah, they used like all the CIA resources to
Yeah. Oh my god, it's
great.
Oh, it's amazing. There's a stat. I'm trying to remember what it is. Bill Paxton and Lance Henriksen are the only two people in Hollywood history to ever be killed by a predator, an alien, and a Terminator. That's pretty damn good company to keep between those two.
And it's a James Cameron movie, and I will go so far as to say it's my favorite James Cameron movie, probably his best from my perspective.
For me, it's always going to be a two-way tie between True Lies and Terminator 2.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to go with Aliens, but yeah.
Dude, Aliens is a very, very, very close third.
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
anyway,
True Lies is just amazing. All right, so you got
They're both good.
You get
They're
two
both
nominees
really
out of that one. Now let's go back to Pulp Fiction. Ving Rhames, man.
What a badass.
I thought Ving Rhames was fantastic in Pulp Fiction. Not as good as Sam Jackson, but I mean, dude, that scene with the GIMP.
Yeah, and that really, I think that elevated his performance, like before and after, like with him and Butch and the happenings with the GIMP. Because before, it's like he's always on the phone or you see him from behind.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, this guy's a force. Then he has a box of donuts and some coffee.
Yep.
And they hit him.
Which I can't watch that scene without thinking of the Simpsons parody that they did where Snake is driving the car and Chief Wiggum's like, donuts. I got donuts. Hey, I know you. I love that scene. But then fast forward to like here's this monster of a character who, the whole world is in the palm of his hands, and then cut to him with a ball gag being bent over a chair by the friggin' cop there, and you're just like, what the fuck just happened to this guy? And then you just have that scene with him and Butch side by side, who, they're bitter enemies at this point.
Yeah.
And they're like, nope, we got to rid the scum of the earth at this point. So
yeah. And what is he just said something like, "We're good."
Yeah. It's like, what next? I'm gonna call. I can't say it because I'm white, but they throw the N-word in there. It's like, we're about to get medieval on your ass. And it's like, damn, that's such a good line too. And only he could have said it like that. Mm-hmm. Oh, so good. All right, so there.
94, man.
1994, such a good year. I'm gonna save the obvious choice for later because I think this is gonna be the winner overall. Let's stay on movies that are still nominated. John Turturro for Quiz Show.
Yeah.
Now I
added this one.
I didn't say he was the lead actor because I believe that was Ray Fiennes, but
yes,
Turturro, I think he was the better option over Paul Schofield for Quiz Show.
I do too.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe it's that Quiz Show keeps a nomination, but we just switch out the actors. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember, I haven't seen it in a while, but I definitely remember he's sort of like the current champion of 21.
Yeah, he gets screwed over.
Right, because he's kind of just like a nerd and everyman. And,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
like,
know if they like pull like the anti-Semite card at all. From what
I think so.
they did want like a
Yeah.
Jew in there or something. They wanted like the clean cut guy, like the all American type thing. But he was. I mean, I love John Turturro.
Yeah.
I'll watch pretty much anything that he's in. So
And his character, it's like the conspiracy is like unfolding around him. He can see it, and he knows
Yeah.
like he can tell what's going on. It's like people aren't believing him, and it's like the type of character that's just like screaming like how corrupt something is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just I remember it being really good.
yeah, really good. So I would swap out Turturro in Schofield's place. Did you ever see the movie Blown Away?
Yes.
Dude, Lloyd Bridges. That
And the fact that he plays the dad,
His actual dad.
his
Yeah.
actual son, yeah.
I mean, that movie is not the greatest movie. It's a solid movie.
Yeah.
You also have Jeff Bridges, who plays Lloyd Bridges' son in real life and in the movie, but you also have Tommy Lee Jones playing the villain, which I love when Tommy Lee Jones plays a villain.
He plays Lucky, the Lucky Charms leprechaun.
Yeah. So for anyone who's not familiar with Blown Away, it's basically about this this bomb expert who is tracking down like a serial bomber, like a terrorist. I don't know if they factor in the IRA to it or anything like that. I can't really remember.
I believe that. I think Tommy Lee Jones' character has ties to the IRA, and
Right.
it's set in Boston.
That's right. That's right. So, goddamn, Boston movies are awesome, dude.
I've yet to see a bad Boston movie. Name one bad Boston movie. Yep.
I would say the worst Boston movie of all time is probably the 2003 Game 7 DVD of the American League Division Series, where the Yankees won on a walk-off home run. Screw the Yankees. Anyways, I feel like Lloyd Bridges and Blown Away at least gets some love. Maybe not a nomination, but I don't want
enough to. We definitely acknowledge it. A heartfelt character. And if you haven't seen the movie, I believe he gets blown away.
Well, thanks, Mike. I was just about to say I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but I was gonna say his final scene in the movie, non-spoiler alert, is very, it's heart-wrenching. I think if you have even a little bit of a shred of a soul, you'd probably shed a tear for his character at that point. But yeah, thanks, Mike. He does get blown away, jackass.
He's the rosebud of Blown Away. I hope someone gets blown away in this movie. Guess what?
I don't know why that made me laugh so much. All right.
Moving on.
I'm going to throw a couple obvious not nominees, but I need to acknowledge them for how amazing they are. Raul Julia for Street Fighter.
Okay. I definitely have something to say about this.
Say it.
I have here, so he plays M. Bison
Yeah,
in
dude.
the Jean-Claude Van Damme Street Fighter movie because Street Fighter 2 was a very popular video game at the time.
It was a great video game.
Hey, why don't we make a movie about this that has nothing to do with the video game? Although, it was Raul Julia's last role before he passed away very early and very tragically, too, because he played Gomez Addams in the two Addams Family movies.
And was
he
fantastic
awesome.
as Gomez.
Yeah. So I'm going to read you a back and forth he has with the character Chung Li. So M. Bison is this character that's like a dictator of this fake country, and he has his own money called like Bison Bucks, So here's so Chung Li. You and your bullies were driven back by farmers with pitchforks. My father saved his village at the cost of his own life. You had him shot as you ran away, a hero at 1,000 paces. Bison. I'm sorry. I don't remember any of it. Chung Li. You don't remember? Bison. For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
I'm sorry. I don't remember any of it.
You don't remember?
For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
That is a fucking great line, dude.
He owns, and I can't even, that does not begin to do it justice. Guy on his deathbed taking a role, I'm sure, just to set up his family, like in pain, I'm sure, shooting this movie. He committed so deeply, and it's not a good movie. And he,
Yeah,
but
and
like he owned it.
dude,
was so
if there
passionate.
was a top 5 list, and they've probably already done this on the Film Vault or something, but like if they did a top 5 list of just amazing performances in otherwise very bad movies, I think that's got to be on there.
It's got to be.
So, damn us. Yeah, he's not going to get a nomination out of it, but God, that's a great line.
Yeah.
One of the greatest comedies of all time. I don't care who you are. Dumb and Dumber. Now,
Yep.
I'm saying Jeff Daniels, but I don't know if you consider it like two co-best like lead actors.
See, I feel Jim Carrey as Lloyd Christmas is the main character.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like the whole reason they go on the adventures.
Exactly.
Mary and
Exactly.
all that.
Which kind of sucks because I mean he is the better character in that movie because I mean people went to go see that movie because of Jim Carrey because
Yes.
he had literally within the last year had already released Ace Ventura and The Mask. I mean Jim Carrey was the man. He was the first $20 million actor. So
Yeah.
Jeff Daniels comes in being a serious actor, blows everybody out of the water with how funny he is. So
funny. And you follow the at the Snubbies on Twitter. I posted a GIF. There's
that.
so many like faces he makes, or
for God's sake, just give me the damn number.
I remember I saw this movie in the theater with my dad. We both were on the ground, rolling around, laughing. The whole thing. It was comedies. I feel are great places to go because it's like even if something's sort of funny, the fact there's an audience around you all laughing.
Oh, totally.
Like it amplifies it up.
I went and saw a double feature at the Aero Theater in Santa Monica. They did Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2. Everybody went there to go see Ghostbusters, obviously. And everybody said the same thing. I don't know if I'm going to stick around for the second one. I would say probably 80% of the audience stuck around for the second one. That movie became great in my eyes at that point because I watched it with an audience and we laughed our asses off. I think Ghostbusters 2 is a great movie. Obviously, it pales in comparison to the first one, but you watch that movie with an audience and it changes your perspective of it.
It really does, and it highlights the good things about it.
So, so the fact is, like, Dumb and Dumber is a fantastic. It's probably one of the greatest comedies of all time. But just watching it with an audience makes it that much better. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I love these people that are like, "Oh, Dumb and Dumber is not a good movie. It's so stupid." How the hell can you say that?
Yeah.
Because
the whole film snob, Academy snob, not including a genre film like a just a slapstick comedy movie. There were still movies like and Dumb and Dumber is probably one of the best comedies ever made.
Dude, I would absolutely put it top 5. I mean, you can talk about Airplane, you can talk about Some Like It Hot. Dumb and Dumber, man, 1994. Here we are, 22 years later, and I am quoting the shit out of that movie.
Just the fact, I think what it was is on the highlight reel that they show, as they're announcing the nominees.
Yeah.
If Jeff Daniels had been on there, they would have shown the scene where he's shitting himself like crazy in the toilet. Oh. and then the smell hits him. See? Oh, what a great performance. We could do a future Snubbies for sound effect editing.
Well, dude, we haven't even gotten into like eliminating anybody yet. Let me wrap this up really quick. One final non-nominee, Jeff Anderson for Clerks. Because I mean, no one's going to say that he deserves a nomination out of it because it's not a good performance. It's just very memorable.
Very memorable. Again, kind of the where it's Dante's movie.
Mm-hmm.
Randall just comes in there, ball of lightning, tons of energy. Very nice.
Well, it's kind of like what we said with Thomas Hayden Church in Sideways. He's obviously not the main character, but he is the catalyst for everything that happens in that movie.
Right.
So,
yeah.
All right. So the final three, and these are the three that I think have to go into the nominations. I think that these three are going to be the ones that go up against Sinise and Jackson. Let me start with Tom Cruise for Interview with the Vampire. Probably one of Tom Cruise's best performances because it doesn't involve action. I feel like whenever Tom Cruise does an action movie, you're never really seeing what kind of chops he has. And stuff like Magnolia, Interview with the Vampire, those kind of roles are
Born on the 4th of
July. The dude can act. I mean, he might be nutty as all hell, jumping on couches and doing all that weird shit, but I mean, dude, go back and watch Interview with the Vampire. Like Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, a perfect example of two good-looking actors who are only known for their looks, but fuck, man, they can act.
And I want to say, isn't there a story where the author of Interview with the Vampire, Anne Rice, because Tom Cruise, I believe, plays Lestat.
Yep.
Is that the name? So, she found out that he was cast, and she was not happy. She was not happy at all. She's like, I don't see it.
Because she's thinking Top Gun.
Pretty much. And then after the movie came out, she was blown away by his performance.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that sounds definitely worthy of being.
Oh, absolutely does.
Nominated.
Then we have, Morgan Freeman, Shawshank Redemption. We already took an award away from Morgan Freeman. Maybe this is an award we give back to him.
He as Red in the Shawshank Redemption.
So good. I mean,
and yeah,
dude, for the longest time, and you know this, for the longest time, like for 20 years, The Shawshank Redemption was my favorite movie of all time. And I mean, now it's The Shining because for I turned a corner on that movie and I never looked back. But Morgan Freeman, Shawshank Redemption, according to IMDb, is the greatest movie of all time. Morgan Freeman is the supporting character in the greatest movie of all time, and I don't know how you don't win an award for that. I mean, he's the narrator. He's the best friend. He's the voice of reason. He is the teacher. He's the voice of God. He's everything to that movie, and I can't imagine anybody else playing that role.
And I've had so many, and you don't I certainly think you can learn lessons from movies and ways to handle yourself.
Absolutely.
And I've always come to interesting places professionally in my career where, I've been trying so hard to get promoted or, to move into a new position. And I always go to when the times where I just relax and I be myself. And I look at it similar to how Morgan Freeman was in Shawshank Redemption when he finally got parole. He's like, I don't give a shit.
Yep.
Been in here long enough, whatever. And that's when the good things start happening to him.
Dude.
That's something that speaks to me a lot. And I feel his performance, you believe it. You believe he's been in there for a long time, where it's like some of these other guys, it's like, okay, yeah, like that guy's just an old actor, or he's,
Dude, you just went deep.
That's what I do.
That sounds really bad.
Well, you mean like...
I know what I
meant.
Mr.
I
think
Deep?
you took it in a completely different direction.
Right. But no.
Hi, this is the Snubbies with Michael Morosco. He goes deep. All right. Oh, my God, Morgan Freeman, dude. He might win it. We got to see how this plays out.
That's going to be tough to beat.
But here's my perennial pick. Gary Oldman for The Professional. Dude, when was the last time you watched Leon the Professional?
I have not watched Leon the Professional in a long time.
Oh, do yourself a favor, because Gary fucking Oldman gives one of the greatest performances of all time as Stanley. Stanley Oldfield. I think that's his
Stanley
name.
Ipkiss.
Shut up.
Norman Stansfield.
Dude, Gary Oldman in The Professional has one of the greatest lines of all time, and it's just him shouting a single word. And, oh my God, dude. For anyone who hasn't seen The Professional, stop listening right now. Go watch The Professional, because, A, you get to see Natalie Portman in what I believe is her debut role. Just completely murder it. Yeah, just completely murder it. No pun intended. You have Jean Reno being the foreign hitman who, he lives by one simple rule: no women, no children. Everything else is fair game.
That's two rules, but yes.
fine. Two. All right. So 3 rules: no women, no children, and water your fucking plants. Those are his 3 rules. But dude, Gary Oldman, man. So he plays like a corrupt cop, or a corrupt detective, I should probably say, who is he's like running crime in his district, and he is like the man that you don't cross. And it's him versus Jean Reno over Natalie Portman, who witnessed the murder of her family. And there's just that great line at the end where they're going into the hotel and they're going after Jean Reno, and he knows that even though Jean Reno is outnumbered, he still has them cornered. And he just goes, "Bring me everyone." The guy's like, "What do you mean everyone?" He just goes, "Everyone!" And you're like, "Oh my God, the vein just popped in his forehead. That's amazing."
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of those quirky roles, but when you look, I think we talked about this before. We talked about this on the last episode. When the book is done and written on Gary Oldman, and you notice that he's only ever been nominated for Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, this is the performance that everybody points to, and they're like, "There's no way he shouldn't have not got nominated for that, if not won it," because it's between The Professional and The Fifth Element. Those 2 roles, yes, they're quirky. They're almost cartoonish in a way, but holy shit, they're performances that every actor wishes they had. And
yeah, it doesn't detract from how good a performance is. But again, it's like a genre thing. That's probably why some of the reasons he doesn't get nominated for those kind of roles, or like we said, for Harry Potter, it's like, very rarely does that sort of happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Okay, dude. So here we are. We've got our top 5. Let's narrow it down. Just looking at the previous nominees, let's narrow it down. Sam Jackson versus Gary Sinise, because whoever wins the other 3. Well, first off, do you disagree that it should come down between for the non-nominees that it should come down between Gary Oldman, Morgan Freeman, and Tom Cruise?
I do not disagree.
Okay, so I'm going to take those 3, set them aside. Let's look at Sam Jackson versus Gary Sinise. So sorry, Martin Landau, your award has already been taken away. My apologies. I love you, but you're done. Who do you give it to, Sam Jackson or Gary Sinise?
Like, if I were closing my eyes and picturing, who I would want to see in front of me, well, maybe not, but that's a bad way to phrase it.
Do you want to see the black guy with the gun or the no-legged white dude?
That's right. If Jules is showing up, I've probably done something wrong.
Yeah.
But I think Sam Jackson deserves it over Gary Sinise, as much as I like Gary Sinise.
Oh, I disagree. I think Gary Sinise takes it.
Okay, well, let's talk it out.
All right, so stop the train. Let's get off. I think Gary Sinise deserves it because he runs more of an emotional gamut throughout the whole thing. I think Sam Jackson is amazing in Pulp Fiction. I think he is the best character of Pulp Fiction. But I think that movie continues without him. Whereas Gary Sinise, I mean, I know we're talking about character, not performance, but the Lieutenant Dan character is so pivotal to like 80% of that movie. And just, I mean, look at the emotion. First off, he's the hard-headed, not drill sergeant, like what sergeant, lieutenant, whatever. Obviously, Lieutenant Dan. Sorry, Sergeant Dan. He's a hard-headed lieutenant who like literally has just a couple rules, like take care of your feet, don't get killed. Like that's pretty much it. So no emotion out of him other than just like anger, resentment towards the world, that type of thing. Then you see him in his all-time lowest when he has no legs and he's just like he's like almost like a comatose figure of himself in the hospital bed. And then, there's that great moment on New Year's Eve where him and Forrest are making out with the girls. Forrest, boots the girl off him and they leave. And, he's like, you don't call him stupid.
Exactly. Yeah. It's him defending his friend.
Yeah.
Like
the man that saved his life.
As much as he probably wants to get laid, there's bros before New Year's Eve hoes.
So he never cries, which is it's a big hallmark of like what makes a good actor is like how well they cry, which is kind of stupid, but it's true to an extent. And then like when he comes back into the frame at the wedding at the end, you're like, oh my God, he's happy and I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
Like this is amazing. Like I feel like Gary Sinise takes me on more of an emotional ride, and for me that's important.
Wow, you're changing my mind. And the more I think about it too, I want to say this is what led, because I know Gary Sinise is a really big like supporter of the military, and like he does a lot of USO work.
Yeah.
And which is great. And I think this is probably what, made him like talking to veterans, talking to people that have lost limbs.
Oh yeah.
Made him want to get involved and just continue on. And I, don't know him personally. You would like to think he's a good person.
Yeah.
And a role of this magnitude, I guess, this importance to have that effect on him, but not just the audience.
I completely agree. But now let's, now that we just completely, kiss Gary Sinise's ass, let's look at Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson in Pulp Fiction as Jules, he has a level of cool to him that is unparalleled. I can't think of another character that is that cool, calm, and collected when he's got a friggin' gun pointed to his head.
Or brains in the back of his car.
Or just the fact that, like, I mean, dude, his wallet says bad motherfucker on it. So he doesn't have the emotional roller coaster that Gary Sinise does in Forrest Gump, but he does have that level of intense cool that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
So
it's a likability. Like you really like him.
It's like he almost picked one emotion and just perfected it. So for me, the Gary Sinise roller coaster sells me more over Sam Jackson just honing in on the one. Not to say Sam Jackson doesn't deserve it. I just think Gary Sinise deserves it more.
You've persuaded me. If we wish to proceed with Gary Sinise versus all challengers, you made a good argument.
All right, so Gary Sinise is now automatically in the finals, and so he's going to represent the class of already nominated. So now let's go through the three that are not nominated. Let's start with Tom Cruise for Interview with the Vampire versus Morgan Freeman for Shawshank Redemption. Right away, I'm going Morgan Freeman, no question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's a question.
Right.
So
sorry, Tom Cruise. Maybe we'll give it to you for Magnolia in a future episode. I don't know.
No, we will. I almost said but there's so many Magnolia makeups we need to do because that's one of my favorite.
I'm going to need to go back and rewatch that before we do the episode because I do like that movie, but I feel like I would like it more on another viewing. So we'll have to go back and watch it. I'm trying to wrap this up because I know you got to get out of here.
No, take your time. I am committed. I am deep.
Oh, Mike is deep. Michael Deep Morosco. That's his middle name, which is weird because you go deep and it's only the middle. Anyways, Morgan Freeman, Shawshank Redemption versus Gary Oldman for The Professional. I don't know which way to go.
Again, it's been a long time since I've seen The Professional.
Here's the reason. So Shawshank Redemption is probably my number 2 favorite movie of all time. The Professional is definitely in the top 25. I hate making the case against Gary Oldman because there's no way that man should not have an Oscar right now. And I think this is his best performance, so it should be for this. But Jesus Christ, Morgan Freeman as Red in Shawshank Redemption. Dude,
you want to talk about a character that pushes the narrative, like when we talked about Thomas Hayden Church, his character in Sideways drove all the things that happened, or at least was a way for the audience to connect with things that they might not understand. That is Red in Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
He's telling you what is happening. He's telling you what's important, why things are a certain way.
Which is weird because there's that unwritten rule that like any story that has a narrator is not doing its job telling the story on its own. But fuck that, because Red has the voice. Morgan Freeman is my Waze navigator. And he is my navigator through the Shawshank Redemption. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm getting more worked up about this than I should be. Gary Oldman in The Professional is one of my favorite performances of all fucking time. But the Shawshank
you feel that? Yeah.
But the Shawshank Redemption is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's because of Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. I think of all the movies Morgan Freeman's been nominated for, this is his strongest.
He wasn't nominated for this.
I mean, should have been nominated.
Yeah, should have been. Absolutely should have been. He should have. God, I hate to say it. I think I'm going Morgan Freeman.
And since we are in the previous snubbies, we took the Oscar away from him.
Don't even take that into consideration. Don't do the makeup award because
No.
don't do it because that's a bullshit thing. It comes down to the performance. Oh my god.
Well, you just said it. You said earlier. You just said Gary Oldman should have had an Oscar. So,
oh my god,
my vote's for Morgan.
I'll go Morgan Freeman. Jesus Christ, I gotta go.
Now it's gonna be tough.
Oh my god, I gotta go back and look at what the nominees were for 1995 and see who was nominated over Gary Oldman for The Fifth Element. Oh my god, dude, this should have been a tie this year. It should have been a tie between Oldman and Freeman. But now let's. All right, so
Now it's gonna be tough.
But all right, so we're gonna go Morgan Freeman over Gary Oldman. Fuck, I hate saying that out loud, dude. I hate that. I feel like I should kickstart a campaign for Gary Oldman just for saying that.
You're gonna re-snub it. You're gonna do a snubbies on the snubby.
I'm probably going to.
Like,
I'm gonna have to get Joey on the next episode to redo this episode to see what he thinks.
oh man.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm like really upset about this.
Okay.
All right.
Take a breath. All right.
Morgan Freeman in The Shawshank Redemption versus Gary Sinise in Forrest Gump. They both fit the mold for what a supporting character should be in a great movie.
They both have really interesting character arcs.
Yep. They both go 180 degrees from where they were in the start.
Yeah. They're both their relationship to the main characters are ones of love and friendship.
Yep.
Very similar, actually.
Insanely similar.
Odd as we're talking about it. Yeah. In some ways, you have, Morgan Freeman kind of crippled by his, being institutionalized for most of his life. What did he say? He went in, he
16.
gets in prison. 16 years
Yeah.
old, So there's a whole underlying tone in the movie of like guys that get out, they don't know how to adjust to regular life. Can I have permission to take a piss, sir?
Yeah.
As he's bagging groceries, kind of thing.
And the crazy thing is, not to get too over analytical, because this is going to be pretentious film critic bullshit that I'm about to say.
Yes, yes.
Yes, proceed. Well, you see, Gary Sinise's prison was mental that he had to break out of. But it's
So
true.
clever.
It's so true.
Yes.
They both had to get out of the prison that they were in, and the difference between the two characters is that Morgan Freeman didn't really know what to do other than to go see his friend. But then Gary Sinise broke out of his mental prison, and all he could do was go see his friend. Holy shit.
Evan, you get busy living or you get busy dying.
Throw the quotes at me, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Dude.
Part of it's tough because Morgan Freeman he's in the movie more. He's like sort of always around.
Yeah.
Whereas Lieutenant Dan, I think, only comes in, sort of halfway through the movie. But he plays such an important part in what happens to Forrest, the second half of his life.
What's your gut reaction?
This is so hard. My gut tells me Morgan Freeman, and what's in my head right now is, when he has the same apartment as the previous inmate Brooks, who ended up hanging himself.
Yeah.
Brooks was here, and I believe written, underneath is "So was Red," but he takes the different path, and you cheer so much like for the character at that point where they stop becoming an actor, and they're a real person. As Red is a real person,
Now,
but so is Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah. So now
But
make a case for Lieutenant Dan.
For Lieutenant Dan, I just get, and I'm not 100% sure, but it looks, when he shows up at the end, he has a Vietnamese wife, right?
Yeah.
And all of the hate that in his heart, he'd been harboring, or reasonably, he was in Vietnamese, people blew his legs off. He should hate that. He's let go so much of that weight of the past that he's able to find love. And it just so happens she's a Vietnamese woman. It's another moment to cheer for.
God damn, dude, you're making a good case here.
It's a tough one.
do we do a tie? Because I don't know if I can make a decision.
I don't think you can. I think
The Oscars have done a tie before.
they have. So is baseball All-Star Game. We know how that turned out. Bullshit.
Dude.
You got to commit. If you're going to commit enough to take away an award from an elderly man,
This is
you
well, technically, you were the one that wanted to push that one. I was willing to let that one go. Here's the thing. I think Gary Sinise deserves it 99.8%. I think Morgan Freeman deserves it 99.9%.
Yep.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
This is the hardest one ever.
It's mind-boggling he wasn't even nominated that year.
You know what? That pisses me off to the point where that's going to kick him over the 0.1% for me.
Yeah.
That's like Gary Sinise was honored with the nomination, and it's just an honor to be nominated. But dude, like Morgan Freeman wasn't even nominated, dude.
Yeah.
All right, drum roll, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we are taking the 1994 Best Supporting Oscar away from Martin Landau and Ed Wood and assigning it to Morgan Freeman from The Shawshank Redemption.
Ooh, just got chills. I feel good about that.
And you know what?
I feel good.
The snubby haters that were pissed off that we took it away from $1 Million Baby can now suck on it that we gave it back to him for Shawshank.
Who's the haters? Give me their addresses. I'll go deep on them.
If you're a hater and would like to face off with Michael Deep Morosco one-on-one,
I'm on Twitter. Find me haters at LOMBASZKO.
Lombasco.
Fuck y'all.
Oh, dude, this episode took like energy away from me. I'm like,
just kidding. Like and subscribe. 5-star reviews on iTunes really help the podcast out.
Yeah, let's get our numbers up, guys. Come on, let's make this happen. Dude, like I'm emotionally drained after that. I have to go do work now, and I don't know if I can do it. I need a nap.
Yeah.
Damn. All right, dude, this was a good one. I really enjoyed this one.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun was had. A lot of tears were shed. My voice became a little hoarse trying to do the Gary Oldman quote. Stansfield. That's what it was. Stansfield was his character's name. Oh my God. All right, dude. That was a good one. Are you going to come back and do another one later?
If the public wants it, how can I deny?
There you go. Good one. All right, guys. I'll be back in a few minutes to wrap this up. Mike, thanks so much for doing another episode, man. Really, really appreciate it. Good stuff today. Anything you want to plug on the way out?
Deep.
I ask if you want to plug anything, and you just say deep. I gotta cut time out. All right, dude. Thanks so much for coming. We'll do another one again very soon. I'll be right back, guys. Thanks so much. All right, guys. Like I said, that one took a lot out of me. Wow, I'm still just torn up about how I couldn't give the Oscar to Gary Oldman for The Professional, which is it's arguably his best performance ever. And the opportunity was there, but then you had Gary Sinise and Morgan Freeman, and I'm legitimately upset about it because whenever I have the debate with people over just amazing performances, it's Gary Oldman in The Professional always comes up, and yet he still didn't walk away with it. And I don't know. I feel like we did him wrong, but you can't not give it to Morgan Freeman for The Shawshank Redemption. I mean, in every sense of the word, Shawshank Redemption is a cult film. It did poorly at the box office, but on home video, it just blew up. And that is the definition of a cult film, a movie that gains more popularity over time. And I mean, look at the Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's the definition of a cult film. It's it did nothing in its initial release, and then yet people are still going to midnight screenings in LA dressed up as the characters. That is a cult film. And The Shawshank Redemption is a cult film because critics panned it, Oscars snubbed it, and it's now the #1 movie of all time on IMDb. So you don't have that kind of cult status with the court of public opinion and not give it, at the very least, not even just Best Picture. Morgan Freeman is that movie. I know it's Tim Robbins as Andy Dufresne. That's the main character, but Jesus Christ, Morgan Freeman as Red is just amazing. So interesting enough that we took his Best Supporting Actor award away from $1 Million Baby and just reassigned it for The Shawshank Redemption. Honestly, probably the right call though, because when when his career is all said and done, you're going to look back and you're going to see Shawshank Redemption is his best performance. So I feel good that we did give it to him for Shawshank Redemption as Red. So even though I'm still pissed at myself over Gary Oldman, congratulations, Morgan Freeman. In our eyes, you are the best supporting actor of 1994. So, all right, guys, that's it for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Hopefully our screaming into the mics didn't distract you guys too much. But again, we want to hear from you guys. Hit us up at Twitter @TheSnubbies. Check us out on Facebook. I want to hear from you guys. What award really upset you the most? And it can be anything. It can be editing. It can be makeup. It can be wardrobe. I want to hear from you guys. It can be a Razzie. I would love to do an episode on a Razzie. As a matter of fact, we came very close to doing one this week, but Mike really wanted to do another supporting actor one, so we did. But what upset you guys? I want to hear it. Let's make this as interactive as possible, please. So hit us up. I want to hear from you guys. So enjoy the rest of the week. We'll be back next week with another episode. We'll try to make it a little more regular for you guys. No pun intended. Yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Love you guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See you later, huh? I'll give you a call.
Bye.
Bye-bye, dickhead.
See ya.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Bye-bye, buddy.